you start thinking about what if, my goodness, it's the potential
is enormous.
It is enormous. How on earth, as a author, when you start asking that what if, how do you choose which what if to follow for your story, or what if you want to explore? And how do you stop your mind just kind of?
Well, that's really, I was waiting actually for the edits to come back on Double Shadow. And it had taken a long time, and as I've said, I was on this ridiculous diet, so my temper was not good at the first. So I was really tapping away, and I just sort of randomly had a conversation with a friend of mine who'd said, do you think they did go to the moon? And it's like, yeah, of course. I took no notes of the conversation. Then I went home and thought, hold on. And he was fascinated by this 11 mile of radiation, which I don't know if any of you heard about, but this is really sort of, it gets me, this one. Apparently there's 11 miles of radiation around the moon. Whether this is true or not, I'm no scientist. But it is true to note that none of the space shuttles have ever gone into the 11 mile of radiation. They've all stayed way back from it. And so what really interested me is apparently we went in to it in nothing more than an ironing board cover. Basically, when you go and look at this. And I went to a wonderful exhibition in New York recently where they showed the oven glove that the moon rock was picked up with. And it just looks literally like something you might use to pick up turkey out of the oven. Oh yes, I'll just use this to pick up a moon rock. And I just loved all that. I just thought, wow, this is a thing that looked like a tin can made of Heinz baked beans. And they actually went through 11 miles of radiation. And there's the other wonderful things. They all had these little cameras on them, which they had very big hand gloves, and they couldn't make them work on gravity. So suddenly they land on the moon and the pictures go shh, 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 shh. And the next thing we see is absolutely amazing pictures that are zoomed back. And one of the astronauts says, this looks like Roswell. On one of the YouTube videos, he actually says it looks a bit like Roswell. Well, riveted me, absolutely got me going. I think questions is everything. So much of what we taught is propaganda, so much of what we do is propaganda. We've got to question. It's the one great thing we have as human beings. The question is king. I always say this to kids. I say, the question is everything. The answer is totally immaterial. It's just another engine for another question. The world is unanswerable. That is the wonderful thing about it. You just keep asking the question. And I can't bear it when I see little kids going, why? And Mum goes, because I said so. I just think, I feel like interfering immediately, going, no. Don't believe it.
Absolutely. Do you think we are brought up not asking enough questions?
Yes, I do.
Absolutely.
I do. I think we accept far too many things. It's just a magical world. We should always be asking questions about it. Okay, chapter 1. I'm wondering, what if? What if the football hadn't gone over the wall? What if Hector had never gone looking for it? What if he hadn't kept that dark secret to himself? What if? Then I suppose I'd be telling myself another story. You see, the what ifs are as boundless as the stars. 2. Miss Connolly, our old English teacher, always said, start your story at the beginning. Make it a clean window for us to see through. Though I don't really think that's what she meant. No one, not even Miss Connolly, dares write what we see through that smeared glass. Best not to look out. If you have to, then best to keep quiet. I'd never be so daft as to write this down, not on paper. Even if I could, I couldn't. You see, I can't spell my own name. Standish Treadwell. Can't read, can't write. Standish Treadwell isn't bright. Miss Connolly was the only teacher ever to say that what makes Standish stand apart is he's an original. Hector smiled when I told him that. He said personally he'd clocked that one straight away. Now train track thinkers, then there's you, Standish. A breeze in the park of imagination. I said that again to myself. Then there is Standish, with an imagination that breezes through the park, doesn't even see the benches, just notices that there is no dog shit where dog shit should be. I wasn't listening to the lesson when the note arrived from the headmaster's office, because me and Hector were in the city across the water, in another country, where the buildings don't stop rising until they pin the clouds to the sky, where the sun shines in technicolor, life lived at the end of the rainbow. I don't care what they tell us. I've seen it on TV. They sing in the streets. They even sing in the rain. Sing while dancing round lampposts. This is the Dark Ages. We don't sing. But this was the best daydream I had had since Hector and his family vanished. Mostly I tried not to think about Hector. Instead I like to concentrate on imagining myself on our planet, the one Hector and I invented, Juniper. It was better than being worried sick about what had happened to him. Except this was one of the best daydreams I'd had for a long time. It felt as if Hector was near me again. We were driving around in one of those huge ice cream Cadillacs. I could almost smell the leather. Bright blue, sky blue, leather blue seat. Hector in the back, me with my arm resting on the chrome of the wound down window, and my hand on the wheel, driving us home for Coca-Colas in a shiny kitchen with a checkered tablecloth and a garden that looks as if the grass was hoovered. That's when I became vaguely aware of Mr. Gunnell saying my name. "Standish Treadwell, you're wanted in the headmaster's office." Frick, fracking hell. I should have seen that coming. Mr. Gunnell's cane made my eyes smart, hit me so hard on the back of the hand that he left 2 calling cards, 2 thin red wheels. Mr. Gunnell wasn't tall, but his muscles were made out of old army tanks with well-oiled army tank arms. He wore a toupee that had a life of its own, battling to stay stuck on top of his sweaty, shiny head. His other features didn't do him any favours. He had a small, dark, snot-marked moustache that went down to his mouth. He smiled only when using his cane. That smile curled the corners of his mouth, so his dried-up leech of a tongue stuck out. Thinking about it, I'm not sure the word smile is right. Maybe it just twisted that way when he applied his mind to his favourite sport, hurting you. He wasn't that worried where the cane landed, as long as it hit flesh, made you jump. You see, they only sing across the water. Here the sky fell in long ago.
Your leading character is obviously very complex, and also obviously brings into the book and of something you feel very passionately about, and that's dyslexia.
Yeah.
Can I ask where that passion and where that kind of passion to get that into your book came from?
Well, I am severely dyslexic, but Standish is a character I've always wanted to do. I mean, for a start, this doesn't come difficult to me. Standish comes very easy to me. And I think this is my way of thinking. And it's just a joy to be able to put him down, for people to read him, and actually for people to have come back and said how much they like Standish. And you think, wow, yeah, you know. And so he, in a way, I don't think I could have written this book if I hadn't written several other books that had really nothing to touch on this subject. And also, I very much wanted, everyone who ever touches on dyslexia always does it with bad spelling. And dyslexia isn't about bad spelling. It's just like the tip of an iceberg gone the wrong way. That's not what sunk the Titanic. It isn't bad spelling, I can assure you of that. It's the way we see, it's visual, it's everything. And I just really wanted to get it out there, because putting a character that just occasionally spells something wrong is like, oh, no. And it's usually always done by people who are perfectly good spellers. And it really makes you angry. You think, look, you can all spell the dictionary. Why are you trying to spell it wrong? We can do that with no